Our first destination is a small town on the eastern side of Washington state. Pullman, Washington contains the native Palouse Prairie ecosystem, which is one of the most endangered grassland ecosystems in the US. Welcome to the first episode of Nature Now. Specifically, we will be exploring the Magpie Forest Ecological Reserve. Local conservationist Daniel Molina will guide us through this journey as we learn more about this grassland ecosystem. In celebration of Earth Day back in 2005, Washington State University purchased the Magpie Forest in efforts to protect one of the last remaining remnants of the Palouse Prairie ecosystem. The Magpie Forest is home to over 160 species of flora and fauna. The conversation that you are hearing is between a few magpies. Magpies are the most common bird species to this area. The western meadowlark, red-winged blackbird, red-tailed hawk, northern harrier, Swainson's hawk, black-capped chickadee, and northern flicker are all native bird species to the Palouse. One of the forest's most prominent features is the Palouse Prairie native wildflowers. The glacier lilies are unique in the sense that the flowers face downward, exposing its reproductive organs to ground-dwelling and low-flying groups of pollinators. Some of the reproductive organs of certain plant species are more pronounced than others. They are responsible for the assurance of pollination and seed production for the continuity of their species. There are many characteristics that ensure the survival of each species, and they each have special adaptations which occur over evolutionary timescales. These adaptations are largely a result of their environment, and thus are co-evolved with the native flora and fauna within each of their areas. Some geomorphic characteristics include contours of the slope and direction they face to the sun, moisture retention of down logs and soil types, and even the smallest and vulnerable organisms like the endangered bumblebee. There is a wide variety of native species to this area. There are extensive patches of snowberry, woods and Nootka roses, with many other native species interspersed, creating a landscape of spatial heterogeneity. Some sparsely dense species include creeping Oregon grape, chokecherry, juniper, maples, and Douglas fir. The biodiversity is fairly high right now, although the various invasive species are encroaching and competing with native plants for habitat. However, the native species are still here and thriving. While there are many thriving native species to the Magpie Forest, there are also quite a few thriving invasive species with magnificent ability to adapt to any environment they may find themselves in. Invasive species are hard to choke out due to advanced seed dispersal and seed adaptation. Medusa head is a highly invasive species to the area. It is very dangerous to wildlife and surrounding cattle. The glooms of the plant persist after the seeds have dropped and are very sharp and fibrous. When animals eat the plant, it can actually lodge into their esophagus and puncture it, causing all sorts of infections. There have been many restoration efforts from conservationists over the years to preserve this beautiful ecosystem. In 2008, many native plant species were planted and established successfully. Daniel has been a part of the more recent restoration efforts done to the area in an effort to choke out some of the invasive species and create a seed source of native species. Over 1,400 native species consisting between about a dozen species native to the Palouse Prairie ecosystem type have been planted in the last year. This includes ponderosa pines, roses, chokecherry, serviceberry, hawthorn, snowberry, and some other shrubs. All of the plants were planted with the intent of where they would naturally occur and have the highest chance of survival. The standing dead woody structures that you see are called snags, which were installed by Daniel as part of restoration efforts and are a key component of raptor habitat, used as perches to hunt. As you can see here, Daniel found what could have been the remains of a raptor kill site. Snags are used especially by red-tailed hawks and owls, as shown by the whitewash running along its trunk and found at their base. Whitewash is a collection of scat that forms a seemingly white liquid stain. Along with the whitewash, the density of owl pellets on the site has increased dramatically. Indigestible material left in the gizzard, such as teeth, skulls, claws, and feathers, are too dangerous to pass through the rest of the owl's digestive tract. To safely excrete this material, the owl's gizzard compacts it into a tight pellet that the owl regurgitates. The regurgitated pellets are known as owl pellets. Daniel and other researchers carefully dissect the pellets in order to see what the owl has consumed.
You can see these right here that I'm pointing at. Those are the molars, the back upper molars. And they came out of this upper portion of the skull.
This has been an extraordinary journey out here on the Palouse. We have learned the history of one of the most endangered grassland ecosystems in the U.S., as well as the restoration efforts done to preserve such a beautiful piece of land. Among the landscape of developed cities and agriculture, the Magpie Forest Ecological Reserve is a hidden treasure, much like a needle in a haystack. Please join us again for our next adventure. Who knows where we will explore next?